Alrighty, are we live? Are
Yes.
we ready to go? Guys, thank you so much. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. So happy to spend this next 60 to 90 minutes with you talking about finances. It's a topic that I love. It's a topic that I've been working with for so many years. I don't bore you with a lot of my story, but I will share a little bit of my story in Australia, especially and then you see how it goes, right? So if you have any questions, you can pop in the chat. Feel free to do so. Also, I'll try my best to finish the whole presentation and leave time at the end for a Q&A. So if you guys want to leave your camera on, I'll super appreciate it, because then I feel I'm more connected with you guys, right? So right off the start, I just like to leave just to do a quick disclaimer, because we are talking about finances here, and everything that I'm going to discuss here is just for educational purposes, right? So you guys need to make sure, if you need help with your finances, there are so many institutions from the Australian government that do support even international students. They support everyone that you can contact. If you need these contacts later, you can ask Vanessa. She'll ask me, and then I can share that. And then if you need help, you can always seek advice from a financial advisor here in Australia, right? So who is this guy that's talking to you? So some people are calling me Raul. Some people will call me Raul if you're a Spanish speaker, probably. Or if you're Brazilian, as I am, you probably call me Raul. Doesn't matter how you call me. I'm happy with whatever, right? So just a little bit of my background. I'm 36 years old now, being in Australia since 2014. I've been being an investor since the age of 18. I've been an entrepreneur or wannabe entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. So back in my hometown, my family didn't have much money. So the way I had to find money to do things that I wanted to do was to starting to promote events, starting to do different things, or even selling, creating ways of selling products or services since I was 12, because I wanted to make money. That was my main reason. I had multiple business overseas, back in Brazil, where I'm from, and also in Australia today. We have a real estate business, we have an accounting firm, we have an insurance firm, and I have my education business as well. That's why I'm talking to you here today. I'm also a volunteer business mentor for the Queensland government, so officially have credentials from the Queensland government to help other Australian business with anything they need in terms of marketing, finances, and etc. And in the end, my mission is to help immigrants in Australia to make more money, to be more organized, and no BS, so no bullshit, right? So be straight to the point with you guys today, and then I really hope I can help you to be more organized, all right? So just a little bit of fun fact, that when we move overseas, sometimes we have problems with our names. So people don't know how to say our names. That's why I make fun of my own name. And then I encourage you guys to have a look and go back to understand what's the origin of your name. So that helped me to understand more who I am and why my parents chose that name. And then just a little bit of my journey here. Back in Brazil, when I decided to leave around September 2013, so more than 10 years ago, I was a lieutenant in the Brazilian army. So this guy that I'm showing you the picture, it's me, right? I was trying to be serious here. I wasn't really serious. I was finishing my bachelor degree. I did a master's degree, but I got to a point where I was like, okay, enough of this. I need to get away. I wanted to do something different. And I decided to come to Australia. And as probably most or some of you, I was like, okay, I'm going to Australia for only 6 months, and then I'll see how it goes. And then I'm being here for more than 10 years, right? So that's how it happened to me. So when I started working as a general labor, working in construction, working in removal as a removalist, trying to do different things, and also always trying to learn the language and understand how the Australian system works, right? And I put in my mind, I want to be the best. If I'm going to work in construction, I'm going to be the best brick labor that is out there. I'm going to do anything. I did internships. I did so many different jobs, but always focused on how can I grow in Australia, and always keeping that in mind that I need to be financially smart, make smarter decisions in Australia to make my money go further, right? So long story short, jumping from 2014 when I arrived here to 2018 and 2019 when I moved from Sydney, where I arrived, lived there for 4 years, moved to South Australia because of my visa. I wanted to apply for a different visa there to get my permanent residency. I'm sure some of you are on this path as well. And then I started working at TAFE in South Australia, where I had a high income, I had like a really nice position, I had this stability, and I quote here, I had my dream job. At that time, I thought, great, I'm working with international students at TAFE in South Australia. I'm really happy. I had my girlfriend at the time over there. I was like, okay, is that what I want? And it wasn't. So I wanted more. And then once we got our visa, we decided to leave South Australia and move to the Gold Coast where we live. And the main reason was we were chasing our financial freedom, our geographic freedom to do what we wanted, where we wanted, when we wanted. So that's my advice is follow the journey, enjoy the journey in Australia, and understand that you have ups and downs. We have changes in immigration that did happen to us. We had to apply for 3 or 4 visas around our time. We had visas that we are ready to apply to get a sponsorship or even the permanent residency, and we couldn't because the immigration changed the laws 2 or 3 weeks before you apply. So I've been there, I've done that. So I know it's hard. So just keep in mind that we have to be strong, right? So why I'm talking about this? Because in the financial world, in investments and anything, people think they need to know the technical stuff. But in reality, in my opinion, 85 to 95% of everything that you're going to deal with money, it's about your mindset. Don't worry, it's the technical stuff you can learn. You can do a course, you can do a seminar, you can study for a few hours on YouTube. You're going to learn the basics or the basics enough that you're going to learn, for example, today to grow a little bit and keep growing. But your mindset is the most important thing on this journey, because that's when you make mistakes. That's when you are afraid of doing something because you don't know. It's the lack of knowledge, right? So I got here the word mindset. So that's basically a person's way of thinking and their opinions. So those opinions, those ways of thinking make you believe in a few things and make you do or don't do a few things, right? So my suggestion for you guys today is, how can you set your mind? So just get the words, the mindset, and exchange the order, and then think for yourself, what I'm doing today in terms of money, in terms of my finances, that I know that is wrong. Think about it, right? And if you don't have already, grab a pen, grab a paper, grab an iPad, grab like your cell phone, because I want you to start taking notes and write down things, right? Because once you take notes, don't trust your memory. Once you take notes, it helps you to memorize and save the information that is useful for you. All right. So understanding a little bit more about Australia, and I like to share this information because sometimes we're living here for a while, or you just arrived, but you don't realize how good Australia can be, but we don't talk about the reasons, right? So Australia's economy, just a quick snapshot for you guys, because what I'm doing today is I'm starting at the high level and I'll drill down and I focus on things that Vanessa told me to bring to you guys, the really nice stuff, right? So stay with me. So Australia's 12th largest economy in the world. The average monthly income in Australia per capita is $4,782, right? It's one of the highest in the world. It's super high. And you might be thinking, oh no, but I'm international student, I'm working 24 hours a week, I can't make that much money. Yes, you can, and we can talk about that later, right? The main sources of money, of income in Australia are mining, banking, agriculture, and international education. That's why it's a really strong industry in Australia, and is also one of the most affected when the government wants to do different things, right? And I always like to make fun of this, that the capital of Australia is not Sydney, it's not Melbourne, it's Canberra, right? So probably you guys know that already, but just keep in mind, some people still think it's not. I know we're talking about money, we're talking about finances, but I want you to keep this sentence for your life, because that sentence changed my life. So having free time is being rich. That's the true definition of being rich or being wealthy for me. And I put there two people surfing because I love to surf. That was the sole reason I decided to come to Australia. I was in between going to Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. And for me, it was like, Canada is too cold. I can't surf there. New Zealand is cold and you cannot really surf there. And Australia's like, okay, I can learn English and I can surf. That was the reason, right? Guys, do you have any questions so far? No? Am I going too fast? You guys tell me, yes or no, please. Tell me in the chat, please. I need to know. Because if I'm going too fast, I can slow down. All right? Cool. All right. Just before we go ahead, can you guys just put in the chat where you guys are from, which country you're from, and which city you're calling from, just so I have an idea. Because I see so many different names here, and I'm so curious to know where you guys are from, because it's super exciting. It's super exciting. All right. I'll continue while you guys put it on the chat, right? All right. Let me move here. So the correct immigrant mindset that changes everything, guys. I've seen so many people making mistakes because they don't have the right mindset. They don't have the tools and the skills to really make something happen in Australia, right? Just before we're going ahead, I want to share something that I personally believe it's going to happen, right? So in Australia now, we have a lot of people that are deciding to go back home because of the immigration changes, and then it's not being, the greatest news. And it has happened already in the past 5 years, in the past 10 years, in the past 15 years. What I think is going to happen is more people will start leaving and more opportunities will arise for the ones staying here, right? Because you have so many people that are deciding to go back home, to go to another country, and the ones that are staying here, there will be jobs left, there'll be positions to be fulfilled, and there will be a need for more people. So if you guys are in the right place at the right time, and Australia is going to happen, that's going to happen in Australia, watch out this space, because you might be able to find so many good opportunities in the next months and years, right? That's my opinion. So the way I see for you guys is, in terms of mindset, is for you guys to avoid a self-fulfilling prophecy. What's that? People think, oh, if I think positive, great things will come on my way. I'll be happy, I'll be successful. That's not enough, right? So you need to think positive, right? You need to think of everything you want to achieve. You need to write down. You want to make sure you have that a clear goal. But thinking is not enough. You have to do it, right? But at the same time, people that are always negative, they're always complaining, they're always finding excuses, they're always finding problems with everything, including money and including their financial situation. These people, get away from them, because they are not going anywhere, right? So don't stay with these people. And then the way I like to think about Australia is, people here decide to go to uni, or instead of going to uni, they start working sooner. They are working when they are 15, 14, 16, 17 years old. They are working at McDonald's. They go to Macca's to work. They go to Hungry Jack's. They go to Subway. They go to H&M. They start working so early sometimes. Sometimes they don't go to universities. And that's different, at least for me. When I got here, I was like, why these people don't have unis? Why they have just a diploma of leadership and management, and they are managing a whole store, like a massive store, because they have work experience, right? So that matters a lot to Australians. Yes, your academic qualifications matter for a lot of things, but your work experience matters more, right? Your competition, if you compare Australia to other countries, like even sometimes the UK, the US, Brazil, China, different countries, the competition is so much smaller here. So you guys that have qualifications, focus on learning English, focus on improving your skills and sharpening your skills. That's going to help you to make so much more money. And I'll show you a graph where I compare my earnings. I'm going to share with you guys how much I was making as an international student before I got the PR and everything, comparing with my level of English. I think you guys are going to like that, right? So be smart on your choices. There's so many people in Australia. There's so many people that want to make more money. They want to grow on their careers. They want to land that new job. How can you be a little bit smarter than everyone? If you're on time, if you're applying for your jobs, if you're reading the job descriptions, you're explaining to people why you should be the one to get that promotion, for example, just because you're thinking about it, I can guarantee you are ahead of 90% of people in Australia, right? Here is different because we get paid, or used to get paid by the hour. Some places in some countries, you're paid monthly, right? So it changes your perspective because you know how much you're worth it, how much people are willing to pay for your services. So by the time you realize that you can also break that and start, for example, a side hustle, a business, even as an international student, you stop getting away from people paying you by the hour, and you can start be paying by projects or not by the hour. And that's freedom, guys. I can tell you that changed my life. In Australia, you have purchasing power, so we have access to a lot of things, much easier in a sense than other countries. I know cost of living is high. You go to supermarket, sometimes just going, get into Woolies and they charge you $50 just because you're there, right? Like you get nothing in your basket and you're paying $50. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to give you tips around that as well, right? Believe in the power of networking. So if I were you, I will be checking everyone's name here and then trying to connect with them on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and trying to build this networking of people that are in Australia, they want to grow. If you are here on a Wednesday night, you could be watching Netflix, you could be watching the Olympic Games, but no, you're here to learn. So if you are doing this, look around, see the people in this room, and try to connect with you, right? So if you guys want to, just put your LinkedIn links here on the chat, and we can start connecting to each other, right? Sorry, Vanessa, I'm just having ideas on as we go, and then we do it, all right? So lifestyle as well, if you want to make money, if you want to enjoy things in Australia, you can have a different lifestyle. You can open a business, and then you can also have freedom, right? Again, for me, freedom means surfing, means enjoying a little bit more my life, right? Different things here. When I'm talking about rich and poor people, I'm talking about people with the mindsets, right? So rich people with rich mindsets, they focus on opportunities. Poor people focus on the obstacles, the problems. Same thing with immigration. Now, they changed, they increased the visa fees. They decided to make it harder. Okay, fine. A lot of people will get out. A lot of people will leave the country. So that leaves you more opportunities, right? So have that mindset of, okay, I'm going to find a way to solve that problem, not to be complaining, right? So these people, rich people, they are associated, they get together, they connect with other positive and successful people. And the complainers, the negative people, they will associate with unsuccessful people, with the complainers, with negative people that, oh my God, everyone's fault. It's never your fault, right? And what I'm telling you guys here, it happens so many times, and I listen to that every single day of people complaining they don't have money, or they are not successful in their careers, or they are not making enough money, and they're blaming everyone but themselves. Don't be this kind of people. No one likes this kind of people, right? I'm not trying to be harsh, but I'm just trying to be real with you guys. I'm laughing with you guys because that's what happens, right? It doesn't matter if you have the PR, if you're a citizen, or if you're an international student, you have a graduate visa, doesn't really matter. What matters is your attitude, right? So that's when we come and I show you a drone, right? A little drone. So what I want you guys to do is I'm sharing with you what I call the drone view. So imagine you have a drone now, right? And you just lift it up, you start flying, you go higher, 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 and you start looking down. So think if you have a drone and a camera on this drone, and you start looking at what you are doing. How is your financial life? How your financial decisions are happening? Why are you doing what you're doing? Keep that in mind. So whenever you are in question, you have doubts about what you're doing, think, get your drone, go fly a little bit high and look down. Am I doing the right things, right? Am I surrounded by the right people? Remember that, right? So for me, that's your time to open your eyes, to see the opportunities, to see what you can do, right? So if you don't have it, grab a pen and paper, grab your laptop, iPad, tablet, phone, get something now, because I'm going to have a quick exercise for you guys. 5 seconds. All right. If you're watching this later, you can do this exercise as well. It's going to be super important. It's super simple. Doesn't matter where you write, right? Why do you want to learn about finances and how to manage your money? You can take a screenshot of this and also reflect on that later. But I want you to think about that. Why are you here today? Or why are you watching this video later? Why are you spending that time of your life to learn about finance and to learn how to manage your money? Right? That is important because you need to know your why. And more than your why you're doing this is to who you are doing this. Right? So we got to a point, myself and my fiance, we got to a point where, yes, we have our finances, we have our investments, we have our property, we have our businesses. We are not only doing for ourselves, we are doing as well because we want to help, for example, our parents back home. We want them to come to Australia more often. We want to go there more often. We want to help them when they want to retire, right? So we have our why and we have our who. So more than that is how rich or successful do you want to be? What success means to you is getting the PR, is becoming a citizen, is opening a business, is traveling the world, is creating a business that allows you to do all these kind of things, is buying a house, whatever it is. Write this down. Write a number, how much money you want. And I know that question makes so many people uncomfortable. They don't know. They're like, oh yeah, I want to be rich. I want to have enough money so I don't have to worry about, I can buy things. Yes, okay, what's next? Oh, I want to have money so I don't have to worry about money. Yes, but how much is that? Do you want $100,000 a year job? You want a $200,000 a year job? You want to build a business? You want to make $500,000? And people are like, oh my God, I can't do it. I can't do it. If go back to the mindset, if you don't believe you can, that's done. But it's not enough just believing, right? What do you want to achieve in Australia? Why are you here? Are you looking for a better life? Are you looking to grow and to whatever you want to do, write down, right? And write down it now. Do it for yourself. It's a really hard exercise. Sounds simple, but it's not. And I want you to go back tomorrow or the day after or next week and read it again. Make sure it's aligned with what you want and what you're doing as well for your career, for your goals, and financially, right? So I'm trying to tie everything together here. Okay, are we ready to talk about the Australian financial system, guys? Yes, no, yes, no. Are we good? Let me have a look here. We have people from, just looking back here in the chat, right? So we have people from Paraná City in Argentina. We have Paula, that's Sebastian. We have Paula from Argentina. Meli, if I'm saying your name wrong, correct me, please. So Meli from Colombia. We have Danielle from Portugal. We have Nicolas from Brazil. We have John from Ecuador. We have Vanessa from Brazil. We have Thales from Brazil. Great, Sebastian. I love it that you put your LinkedIn there. I love it. Thank you very much. So if anyone else has your LinkedIn, just put your links there, right? Okay, let's go. Bank accounts. So bank accounts, in a really quick summary here, we have transactions accounts. So that's your everyday purchases, right? So that's usually where your money is. And that's usually where you use your debit card to pay wave or whatever it is. That's basically it, right? And you have your savings account. That's your piggy bank, right? Remember those piggy banks that you used to put your coins when you were a kid? That's basically your savings account, right? So all the money that you have on a savings account, it earns you interest. Basically, the bank's gonna pay you a percentage per year based on how much money you have in there, right? Currently, the banks in Australia are paying something between 4.5 to 5.5% a year on top of the money you have there, right? So that's basically what's happening. So what do you need to make sure you're looking at your bank and your accounts, right? So direct debit freeze. So that happens sometimes. So if you have something on auto payments, so on direct debit, making sure you have enough money when that bill comes. If not, they can charge you an extra fee if your money goes below zero, right? I know that happens because people don't like to leave money on the everyday account in case they lose their card or something happens. They're scared of that, but just making sure you have enough money when the bills are coming, right? So a good way to do that is just putting reminders on your calendar or your Google Calendar or whatever it is, so you know when a bill is coming or when you have to pay your school or your gas, electricity, or whatever it is, right? Some banks do offer free ATM fee. So some banks, you can just withdraw money as many times as you want per month. Some banks, they have a limit. So you need to know what limit your bank has on your account. So in case you withdraw money too many times in a month, they can charge you more, right? It's funny because I don't even remember when was the last time I went to a ATM to get cash. I honestly don't remember. So we have the automatic overdrafts, which is basically what I explained the first item, the direct debits. So if you have less than zero, below zero on your account because an account, a bill was paid, you usually have until the midnight of that same day to put money back to your account to cover and to be over zero, right? So if you do that, it's fine. If flicks and goes to another day and you have below zero on your account, some banks will charge you $10 or $15 per day that it's below zero, right? So just keep that in mind. Sometimes it happens, but you're going to be charged even more, right? Be careful with your PIN, right? So many people are doing the same PIN, the same password for everything on their phones or everything on everywhere. Just be careful with that, right? Like, don't do the same. Be smart. Be, cyber safety. It's super important, right? Internet banking as well. Be careful on your laptops. Don't ever access, in a public space or on public Wi-Fi, that is, guys, that's easily accessed to your laptops or to the Wi-Fi, right? So don't do that. Don't make that mistake. It's a simple mistake. Just don't do it, right? Never connect to an open Wi-Fi and do any of your banking, because you can get hacked easily, right? And of course, be careful. Check the apps. Check if it's everything up to date. Check the reviews and check your bank, right? Main banks in Australia: Commonwealth Bank, Westpac, ANZ, and NAB, National Australia Bank. All right, they are called the Big Fours. And quick question for you: which bank do you have in Australia? Which bank do you have? Or because when I arrived here, I remember I had Commonwealth, right? CBA is the same, Commonwealth. But my question to you guys is, why do you have Commonwealth? Or why do you have the bank you have? Probably because someone told you, right? And probably you never thought about it. You just decided, oh yeah, someone told me to do banking with Commonwealth. Mostly I did. So I got here on the first day. People say, oh yeah, open a bank account with Commonwealth. That's the biggest bank in Australia. That's it, done, right? So I see people here with ING and Up Bank as well. So there are other options as well, such as ING, Up Bank, HSBC, Suncorp, Macquarie. There are other regional banks. You don't necessarily need accounts with those banks, but keep in mind that sometimes they do offer better deals for you, better interest rates on your savings account. They pay you more. Again, you have to check all the other things that I explained earlier, such as this and more. Check everything, but keep in mind, you don't necessarily need to just stay with the Big Fours, right? All these banks are digital. All these banks have apps. They have so many options and could be a better option for you. I'm not necessarily saying they are, but I wouldn't be stuck with the same bank, because usually the Big Fours, the big banks, they pay you less, right? So the same money you have there, usually they are paying you less for your money because your money is on their banks, all right? So just keep in mind. Do you guys know buy now, pay later? The BNPL, basically those systems where like I'll show you here. For example, just go back here. So we have ZipPay, Afterpay, in all those different companies. I've noticed that more and more people are using that because they are not sometimes so organized or too organized with their money. And because of that, they decided to have those accounts so they can pay more in installments. So reports are showing in Australia that people spend more money than they should, because they have the option to do installments. So instead of using your debit card, just to use the money you have on your account on that day, you're doing installments, and that's how you spend more than you should. So be careful with that, right? So the problems that I see happening, and reports are showing more and more, Australians in general, I'm not talking about international students, is the lack of habits of having that option to do installments, right? So you're creating a lot of debt. A lot of people are spending more money than they should. And then you as an international student might have access to some of them. But what you need to understand is, for these companies, for these buy now, pay later companies, or for credit card companies, you being an international student, having a temporary visa, you present to them more risk, right? Because you have the risk of just leaving the country. You could use the money and you just decide to leave. How are they gonna chase you? It's possible, but it's hard. Depending on the country you're from or the country you're going to, that's going to be difficult for them to do it. But again, it can cause you problems, because if you don't pay something here, that goes or could go to the ATO, and from the ATO, that could go to the immigration. And then when you're trying to apply a visa for another country, they can track this information between countries. And you have done something wrong in Australia, they might deny your visa in another country, right? And also, if you have this buy now, pay later, and then even if you pay everything on time, that can hurt your credit score. So that's the score that you have on your file. It's a file from with your name, your tax file number, your ID, and your name and everything. That's going to be building over the years. So let's say today you're an international student, you got a new phone with Apple and Vodafone. So when they do that, they run a credit score. They check your history in Australia of payments. And if you have a payment that's due or overdue, that can be on your story, right? So that's going to be there on your file. 4 years later, let's say you get a permanent residency, you want to buy a house, your bank is going to check the history on your file, and they will see that you didn't pay something 3-4 years ago. That can hurt you and not allow you to get a loan, for example, to buy your house. I know you're like, oh man, I'm still studying. I'm not worried about houses or buying a car or getting a loan for a future business. But that's the problem. If you don't know what can hurt you in the future, you might do something that's not too smart now, right? So just a few numbers. A lot of people using, for example, here, Afterpay, Zip, Hum, all those. Sorry, let me get this. Let me get this just 1 second, just to show you guys. For example, here, you can see Afterpay, Zip, they're the main ones, right? There are so many people using those companies. So, now how am I going to erase that? I thought they were going to disappear. Here we go. Okay, we are back. Question for you. Talk about organizing your budget. Do you know how much you earn and how much you spend? That's really important. That's the part of this video, this lesson that I want you guys to really focus on, right? So we start learning how to do that. So I will share 3 ways of budgeting, right? You can take a screenshot, you can save this, you can watch later. The Barefoot Investor is an Australian author. They have a book called The Barefoot Investor. And then he shares his way of thinking that's how you should be organize your money. So they have something for fire extinguisher, for emergencies. So 20% of everything that you make, everything that you earn, should go to this emergency fund, right? 10% of your money, he says, you should do to spend on something that makes you smile. So it can be fun, can be travel, can be food, can be anything. 10% for a splurge, which is just spend the money and don't worry about that. So 10% of everything that you make, he says you should do that. And use 60% of your income for your expenses. I know that might be hard depending on how much you make and how much you're paying on your bills, right? So just keep in mind that that's just one option. The classic option, sorry, let's go back. The classic option, oh my God, is the balanced money formula. That's the classic one. 20% of everything that you make, you should save or invest. 30% of everything that you make or earn, you go to things that you want. And 50% of everything goes to your must have. So this is a must, and this 30% is for what you want, right? Must have, I want to have. There's a big difference there, all right? And also what I like to call the flexible one, which worked very well for me. 55% more or less of everything that I make should go to my daily costs, right? For my bills, my rent, my food, and everything. I always try to do 10% for short-term investments and 10% for long-term investments, 15% leisure, right? So it can be fun, can be travel, can be gym, can be anything. And I was always investing 10% at least of what I make in personal growth. So these guys is where I recommend you to get from whatever you're making, buy books. buy a course, invest in webinars, in seminars, do whatever you have to do. But how, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know what I have to do. Start learning about AI, start learning about sales, start learning a little bit about marketing, start learning a little bit about finances. Do something that helps you to make more money. So whatever course you're doing, whatever skills you're building, whatever you are in a career path or business, start learning and put 10% of what you're making into that. That's going to help you so much, right? So budgeting tips and to save money, right? So where can I save money? Well, rent, it's probably the most expensive bill that you have, right? So I'll easily say how much, if you guys can share, put in the chat, how much you're paying for rent. If you're renting a room or shared room, or is it like a single room, or you're renting a 2-bedroom apartment with other people, and then it's kind of like how much you are paying for rent at the moment, right? So if just to have an idea, so have like a 300 a week, 250 a week, that's a single room, or with bills or no bills, if you can just clarify to me. So okay, so it's, let's see here, so it's a $300 a week with bills, and another one is 250 a week without bills, right? So if you have that with bills, you kind of don't have to worry much more about it. But if you don't have bills, you have to keep in mind that everyone else in the house, you're using electricity, you're using gas, you're using water, internet, and everything. You need to prepare, because every 3 months, usually someone from the house, you knock at your door and say, hey, we have to pay your bills, right? So we have here $1,000 per month, $300 per week, single with bills, $220 with bills on room and bathroom. All right, someone is pretty happy here. Which city are you, Andy? That's good, because it changes so much from city to city. I see people from in Sydney paying $400, $500 in a single room. It's not a bedroom. It's not an apartment. It's for a room, right? That's crazy, right? So yeah, so many people paying different things, right? So rent is usually the most expensive one. Again, understanding how the market works, we'll see that again, a lot of people are leaving the country, a lot of people deciding to leave Australia. So the pressure to find apartments, you go down a little bit. It's not gonna go away, but it's gonna go down a little bit. I've seen so many people breaking lease. So they are, instead of they are extending their visas, they decide to go not extending the visas, they decide to leave the country, and they had a rent lease until, let's say, October. So now instead of waiting, they are leaving and they're breaking the lease. So you guys are gonna notice that that's gonna change a little bit the market. It's gonna help even if you wanna if you wanna rent your own apartment, right? Or house. Then we have transport. Making sure, guys, when you're using your transport, if you're using a public transport, if you have your student card, if on your state, international students have discounts, that's super important. And it's important to understand how the system works. For example, now here in Queensland, it will be 50 cents for a period of time to use the public transport. I know in Sydney, you have different ways. If you use your Opal card for so many times, or 8 times, if I'm not wrong, and if you're from Sydney, and then correct me, if you use, let's say, 8 times your Opal card in a week, after that, you pay less or you have free, right? In South Australia, international students pay half. So different states, different rules, but just make sure you have that information and use on your favor. Of course, your bills, negotiate the bills, right? If you're the one with the name on the bills, negotiate, talk to your landlord, try to negotiate, try to find another provider that's cheaper for you guys. Let's say the electricity or the internet. Electricity is all the same, right? There is no difference, but it is different from neighborhood to neighborhood. Sometimes from your street to another street, there can be a massive difference in how much you're paying in electricity. just to compare, right? So food, and mostly you can save money on eating out, right? That's what people spend most money. The cash money, a little bit of cash they have left, they go out, they want a nice breakfast, they want to go to a restaurant. There is nothing wrong with that, but just keep in mind, if you want to save money, usually that's where you can shrink a little bit. And that's something that I call the 7-Eleven effect. Who has had 7-Eleven coffee in Australia? When I was studying, every single day before my class, I was working construction. I would go to a 7-Eleven next to my school and had a $1 coffee and a double chocolate muffin. I got addicted to that to this day. So if I see a chocolate muffin, I want to buy, right? But the problem is, you go, you're going out, you're working, and you have a quick stop, a quick break before your school, before your class, or whatever it is, and you just, and I'm just going for a $2 coffee, right? Or a $1 coffee or whatever. But the problem is not the $2 coffee, it's the sandwich that you buy, it's the muffin that you buy. It's like $3, $4, $5. McDonald's does that for decades, right? So you go to Macca's, what they ask you, you want a fries, you want a large soda, you want an ice cream, you want this, you want that. They start upgrading, they start upselling you all the time, and that's how they make most of their money. It's not on the cheeseburger. The cheeseburger is just what catches your attention, right? So keep that in mind next time you're going out or just on the streets, to not burn cash without reason, and in the end just eating something that's not really good for you, right? Loyalty and rewards programs. Again, I'm going too fast, guys. What time is this? We are almost 1 hour in, right? We are almost there, almost there. Loyalty and rewards programs. Who has it here? I've been using this for years and years in Australia, right? So I'll talk about the two main ones. Everyday rewards, that's from Woolies, and also talk about the flybys, right? So these ones, quick tips for you, right? If you are going to the supermarket, and then every day when you go and buy, you have the option to scan your mobile or your card, right? I recommend you guys just download the app, or there's an app called Stock Card that you can have all your cards there as well. So just scan and that's it, right? So what happens when you scan? The company, Woolies, Coles, or any company, they save that information on your file, right? So the more you go, the more they will understand your consumer behavior. And that's bad in a sense, but you can also use that on your favor. So what they will do is they will understand how often you buy toilet paper, coffee, this, and that. And the marketing team from behind the scenes, from their teams, can send you promotions, personalized promotions to you based on what you spend or not, right? So if you do that and you scan your cards, they want to keep you as a client. So they will keep offering you discounts and advantages or anything to make sure you don't go to the competitors, right? So again, if you link with a mobile, if you do the app, if you do online shopping, it's another way of you saving money. Because again, if you have your everyday card, rewards card, and you have your login, you can do everything online and just go in store and pick it up or ask to be delivered. Two things here. If you do online shopping, statistically speaking, you're going to spend less money because you're less tempted to be walking around all the aisles and like, oh, let me check a chocolate today. Let me check that if there's something else on sale, and just start walking around and start putting things on your basket or your trolley, right? So if you do online, even if you do for pickup, that usually saves you money, right? And everything is in there. If you're buying online, they have all your history. Just click, click, click. Sometimes it's almost ready for you if you are buying always the same things and you know the promotions and etc. They have also what they call boosters, when they give you more points for the same purchase, right? So sometimes they give you 5 times points or 10 times more points. Then you can use to get more Qantas on Woolies, Qantas frequent flyer points. And with those points, you can change those points to flight tickets, right? So depending on how much you're making or how much you're spending and how much is the ticket to another city, you can use your points, right? I'm going to Adelaide now in August for an event, and then I got my tickets. The way in, I got with Qantas for free, and the way back, I got with Virgin because of my points from Coles. So I'm not paying to go and back to Adelaide. That's the way, right? So just going to the supermarket, you can do it. So they also have partners where you can make points, get points from it, like BWS for the guys that want to drink. Caltex, it's a petrol station. You have Big W as well, and your online purchases also count as a points. Flybys, same thing, but the main difference is that usually you can get Virgin Australia points, right? So the velocity points, that's usually the ones you get, all right? Keep in mind that both websites, again, they have partners, right? Not websites, sorry. The companies, the supermarkets, they have those partners like Bunnings, MyCar, Citibank, Officeworks, Optus, Target, Shell, petrol stations, and etc. You can always get points from that. What you have to keep in mind is for them, it's better for the companies, for Coles, for Woolies, for any of those companies, the supermarkets especially, for them it's better if you use your points to change for like $10, right? Rule of thumb, it's not a law, it's not 100%, but usually the same amount of points that they give you for $10, right, is the same amount that it's worth it, $40 or $50 in a flight ticket, right? So usually the same amount of points that you're gonna use to exchange in the supermarket for $10, if you wanna exchange for a flight ticket, that's usually $40 or $50, right? So usually it's better if you change, but again, you're not flying or you're gonna lose the points, you might use it, right? So just keep that in mind and do your calculation, right? The guys from Mindroom as well asked me to show you how to find and apply for grants in Australia. Sorry that I'm changing the subject. If you guys have questions about this, just put in the chat, or at the end, I'm gonna answer these questions, right? So finding or applying for grants in Australia. I'm just gonna share my screen. I'm just gonna share this. That's a web page from the government, right? Which is called Grants and Programs Finder, right? From the Australian government, where you can come here and use these tools. I'm just gonna clear that, right? What you can do is here, they will show you 618 grants at this moment. What you can do, the way I use this website, and I'm gonna share the website in the chat, and then the guys can also send that to you, right? So you can save that. So the first thing I do is I go to grant status, I click on open or coming soon. I usually go for open. Location, where I am. So let's say I'm in New South Wales, right? Or right. So you see that's changing already. It's showing less and less grants. I can do business structure, right? If it's a company, if it's a partnership, sole trader, if it's a trust. Let's say you are sole trader, it's showing less. Just filtering, right? Business stage. So let's say your business has less than 2 years. So we have so many grants here. What you have to do now is to search. You can search here by the grant name if you know, or you can keep filtering based on the industry, whatever it is, you can filter that, right? Or you just start having a look and you can start saving this. So I don't know what projects you guys have. For example, here, free and confidential mental health coaching for small business owners. So this program is a grant that you're gonna get free and confidential mental health coaching for you that are a small business owner, because so many people go through hardship and that happens, right? So that can, we have so many grants in Australia, and I would tell you, usually what happens, they don't have enough people applying for these grants. I've seen so many. The governments in New South Wales, in Queensland, they do grants for businesses where you have to submit sometimes a project where you show you want or you're willing to spend, let's say, $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it is. They have different rules. Then if you do that, they can cover 5,000 or 10,000. They can cover everything sometimes for your project. That can be redoing your website, redoing a system, or starting something new for your business. Guys, keep an eye on that, please. Because again, this happens so many times. The government has to relaunch the grant because not enough people applied, or the ones that have applied, they didn't apply correctly, and then they still have the money to give to business, but the business are not applying for. So the money is there. The government wants to give you money to build your business, but people are not getting, right? Just keeping that in mind. So I put the link in the chat. The Mindroom team can also share with you guys that later, right? So I'll go back here to our presentation. So I'll jump that, right? Investments in Australia, I will touch base with this. So the types of investments that we have here in Australia, I split that in two ways, right? The defensive ones and the growth, right? So I'll talk the defensive first. So the defensive ones, here we go. Here, they have the savings accounts, the term deposits, which are, you put the money on the bank for a certain period of the time. So then your money is going to be locked, right? So government bonds as well. We have access to government bonds from other countries, let's say the US or Canada or countries in Europe, and we have corporate bonds as well. We have growth types of events which are riskier. So we have stocks or shares, as we call. We have REITs, which is investing in real estate in Australia. So instead of you buying a house or a unit, you can buy a share, a piece of a massive real estate investment, right? So you can own a piece of Bunnings, for example, or Westfield shopping centers. There's so many ways. You can invest, of course, in real estate, the physical real estate as well. You have ETFs, which is related to shares, to the stock market. You have cryptocurrencies as well. So these are the main types of investments in Australia. International students can invest on this. There is no rule. As long as you are in Australia, you can invest on it, right? So we have this option. So can I share with you guys a $500,000 mistake that I made? You wanna know what I didn't do, my mistake that could cost me $500,000, which is that phase. I'm laughing now because it's gone, it's past, but when that happened, it was not fun, right? So what happened to me was, I told you guys, it was back in 2013, I decided to leave Brazil and come to Australia. So I was in the army, I was working in marketing and public relations back in the day. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to Australia, I'm going to learn English, I'm going to serve, that's it, I'm just going, right? But I didn't know that I had the possibility of applying for my permanent residency visa when I was in Brazil. I could have applied for my PR directly from Brazil. The only thing I had to do, but I didn't know, was to stay working in the same job, doing the same thing I was doing for another month. To be more specific, for 33 days. If I had stayed in Brazil working for another 33 business days, or not even business days, just 30 days, I could have enough experience based on my academic experience, in my work experience, I could have come to Australia as a permanent resident, right? But I didn't know. I didn't go out there looking for information. And nobody told me, and that's not their fault because they didn't know my experience. They didn't know I wanted to stay in Australia. I didn't know I wanted to stay in Australia. So what I'm sharing with you guys is the cost of not knowing, the cost of lack of information. That's what you guys are chasing here. So I'll show you where this number is coming from, right? So the average salary in Australia today for a full-time job, if consider I came from Brazil with my PR and I could work straight away in marketing, for example, that's my field, right? Or it was. So the average salary that was 90, or it is at the moment, $90,000 per year. The median salary in Australia is around $65,000. So just to explain the difference, the average salary, you get everyone that works full time, everyone, millions of people. You put, let's say you have 1 million people, you get 1 million people's salary, put all together, and you divide by 1 million, right? So you get the Qantas CEO that makes $16 million a year, and you have someone that is doing an entry-level job that's making $45,000, $50,000 a year, right? So they get everyone together, they divide by the same number, and they have the average. The median is they get the same people, but they're trying to find where is the middle, right? So have so many people in one side, so many people on the other side, they try to find the center point, right? So I would consider that once I got to Australia, I would be making, let's say, $65,000, which was the entry-level salary for a marketing person. Back in the day, I had more than 5-7 years of experience in marketing. So I'm sure I could make more money, but let's go to the bottom, right? So I stayed as an international student for 6.5 years until I could apply for another visa that I was out of my student visa, right? So if you get that, the 6.5 years times $65,000 per year, I would have made just in salary $422,000. That could be easily how much money I left on the table because I didn't know I could get a PR. I didn't know there was something called migration agent. I didn't know. I just wanted to come here, right? So that happens. That happens, right? So I'm telling you, if you want to stay, go and find someone that can help you. If you want to start a business, go and find someone that can help you. If you want to do whatever, go and find someone that can help you and avoid those mistakes, right? So now I'm going to show you my progression, my English levels with my salaries, right? So when I started working in construction, I had like what I say, no English. So after that, I did an internship when I had very little English, as we say. I did an internship after that. So I was getting there. I was learning. Then I had an external sales position. I had a front desk, kind of a receptionist position. Then I went to a sales position again. And then I became sales manager. Then I became a national marketing manager for a company here in Australia. Then I joined TAFE. So I had the entry point, my TAFE number 1 position. I had my TAFE number 2 position. I have my TAFE 3 position, and I have my business, right? So how much I was making per year when I was in construction? $42,000 a year, right? That was back in the day. When I was doing internship, I was doing an unpaid internship. So I had no English. I had experience, but I couldn't explain what I knew because I couldn't speak the language. So I was doing an unpaid internship for 3 months. After that, they were paying me $20 per hour, and I was already working marketing. $20 an hour, right? That's not even the minimum wage today. So when I was joining the external sales position that I was doing, I was getting the 20K from the internship plus whatever commission I was making from the sales. So I could be working a lot and not making money, but I was learning, I was growing, I was experiencing, I was getting to know more people, right? So then I started working in an agency for international students in a front desk position, and I was making $32,000 a year. Then I moved the position and I was getting that plus commission. And then sales manager, when I had already an advanced level of English, just to have an idea on these two roles as on sales and then as a sales manager, I was making $90,000 a year as an international student. And how? Because my base salary was $32,000, or then later was $45,000. But the commission, I had no limits on how much I would make. So I stopped trading hours of work for money. I could be working less, but making more money because I had a position. I looked for a position that would pay me more for my results. So that was based on commission, right? Or bonus or whatever you want to call. So that's my tip for you. Oh, I'm bad on sales. We are selling every day. We just need technique, right? Anyone can sell, can sell. Anyone who just need to practice and get better. So again, when someone tell you, oh, you cannot make money as an international student, no, you just have to find a way based on your skills or learn those skills, right? You could start a business. You could start a drop shipping. You could start an e-commerce. You can start a painting business, a cleaning business, whatever. You can do it, right? So then I moved to the marketing position, and I had to drop my salary from 90,000 a year in the same company to 56,000 a year because I was getting a sponsorship, and I had to adjust to that. The company say, great, you're making $90,000 or $100,000 a year, but for your sponsorship, you have to drop. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. In the end, I didn't have to go ahead with the sponsorship and apply my skilled visa, and I left the company, right? So when I joined TAFE, I was making $65,000 as an entry point. That was the minimum salary they were paying, right? So here I was confident. I knew I had to do things. And then after a month, there was another position in the same team, in the same company at TAFE, and I applied. It was another job interview, and I got the position and was making 110K. That was right after I wasn't more a student, international student anymore. And then some people say, oh, of course, you got the job because you didn't have an international, you didn't have a student visa anymore. But I've been preparing myself for 5, 6, 7 years to get to a point where when an opportunity arises, I was ready to take it, right? So I'm not showing off. I'm not trying to say, oh my God, you did this, you did that. It's there. There's so many Australians that could have got that position. No, I was an immigrant that got the position because that person was ready, right? So then I went to TAFE, and then with business, which I have my business today or my different business, there is no limit, right? So just to have an idea of how much you can make and changes, but you see, the more you learn English, the more you have your skills, you can just have unlimited, right? So just go for it. There is no limit, again, when you have your business, right? Oh, and I think that's the last one. That's the last slides, guys. That's so good. I can't believe we made it. 1 hour and 15 minutes. Woof. All right. Danny, Vanessa, are you there? Guys, don't leave me alone.
Yes, I am here.
Wow,
Thank
guys.
you.
Sorry. I was trying to rush a little bit more at the end, just to make sure we get on time and have time for some questions from you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys could get something out of that. Getting information about how you can save more money, how can you organize yourself, how you can save money in Australia, how you can negotiate. But more importantly, my main message for you guys today is this. There is a limit of how much money you can save, but you still need to pay rent, you still need to buy food, you still need transport, right? So there is a limit of how much you can save, but there is no limit of how much you can make. That's the game changer, right? So once you realize that you can make so much more money, and if you look around and you might be thinking, oh my God, between my friends and people around me, no one's making $40 an hour or $50 an hour or $60 an hour. And then you think, oh, because they are not making, you cannot make. But that's not true, right? Australia is one of the easiest countries to start a business. It's one of the easiest countries that you can start and sell because people have money. Australians have money. If you look at how many people are doing deliveries of the day, how many people are buying on Amazon every single day, you think, where the hell these guys get so much money? Is because at the same time, so many people don't have money, but so many people have so much money. And that happens all the time, everywhere in this country, right? So that's my message to you before I go to the Q&A, but just keeping that in mind. There is no limit of how much money you can make, right? Vanessa, I'm gonna hand that to you. If you guys, raise your hands or use the chat, send me questions. I'm more than happy to answer you.
Any questions? Enjoy this moment.
I think it was. Oh, I think they didn't like it, Vanessa. I think why they don't have questions.
Are you guys able to open your microphone? So you can just ask, or if you prefer writing, it's up to you.
Sorry, I mute myself. I'm so happy to see people from different countries and different cities here as well, because you can bring different perspectives, right? So it's different everywhere in Australia. We have so many things that you can do, and I hope I could share a little bit of my history in Australia. It's been here for more than 10 years now, been seeing ups and downs. I've failed, I have done again, and then had to try. And it is, guys, it's once you understand how the system works in Australia, you're gonna look right, you're gonna look left, and it's like, oh, these people are making so much money. I'm gonna give you an example, right? That's a simple one for me. So many international students start working as a cleaner, right? Probably some of you guys have done that. And then when you think about it, you're working for someone, right? So maybe you're working as a cleaner for a year or 2 years. Then you're like, oh, you have your boss. And maybe that person is the owner of the company. And then you're like, if you're making $30 an hour or 35 or whatever you're making cleaning, this person is charging the owners of that place 60, 70, sometimes 80, $90 per hour for you. And some people will be like, oh my God, that's so unfair, I should be making more money, blah, blah, blah. They are the business owners and they have all the risk, right? You go there, you do your job, you go home, and that's it. They have to make sure everything is right, everything is correct. But once you start realizing, it's like, why don't you become that person that runs the business, right? And then you can hire different people, or even your friends, or someone that you know, or friends from your school that can do that job, because there's always someone arriving here. There's always someone that's looking for a job. You can teach them, you can help them to grow, and you can also make money while you're doing that. And then in some cities, to be a cleaner, you need a car, you need your equipment, or you can provide the equipment and the person has a car to be more reliable, that they can be on time, and etc. So you're creating a business out of nothing. And then you can hire other people that need the job. You're gonna pay them well, you're gonna teach them, you're gonna help them. And your job is to make sure they're doing everything right and looking for options of other places that you can clean. Can be cleaning houses, can be cleaning offices, can be cleaning so many different things. So from doing the same job making 25, 30, 35, $40 an hour, you can get so much more being the business owner. And you don't need 16,000 offices to clean or 500 houses. You can get 10 houses, but you're making a little bit here, a little bit there. You start building. You have options. I've lived in complexes here on the Gold Coast, right? In a place that was 110 houses. I lived there for 2 years. No one ever knocked at my door offering cleaning services. No one. If someone does it and one house say yes, you start cleaning the house, right? Your business start cleaning the house. And then you start knocking someone else's doors and you say, hey, I'm cleaning house number whatever, house number 10. Paul lives there. I'm cleaning Paul's house. If you need to ask him, you go ask him if he likes my services. I've been doing that for a month. Okay. How much you charge? Well, negotiate, start doing another house. By the time you realize you're doing 2 houses or 3 houses in the complexes, and then the more people you're doing the same complex, the more the other neighbors will trust you. So sounds simple. It's because it's simple. Of course, you have to execute, you have to find people, you have to find the products, but it's not hard. But if you get stuck and thinking, you don't need to love cleaning, you just need to love the business, how to make money with the business and have more time to your studies or to focus on your PR or whatever you want to do, or just travel. I don't know. But thinking outside of the box, that's the way.
We have got some questions here.
Have we?
I
didn't see it.
Sebastian.
Okay.
Asking for recommendations.
Okay. What persons would you recommend to follow to be more in contact with this kind of content besides you, of course? Sebastian, in Spanish, in English, you're looking for finance or business? I can send you guys some recommendations. In finance, I'm going to an event tomorrow with them. There is Tash from Tash Invests. She's Australian. She's really cool. There is Anna Christina. She's Canadian, so she's an immigrant here as well. She talks about money, finance, and etc. I think that's a good way to start. If you understand a little bit more of Portuguese, I do some events in English, but mostly my content is in Portuguese still. But I might be moving. My other businesses are all in English, etc. But if you have any questions, just send me a message. I can point you into the direction, websites, whatever you need. Just send me a message. You can find me on any social media, Instagram or whatever, as Raul Engel, LinkedIn, anything. Like just message me there, YouTube, whatever. It's just there, right? So if you need any help with that, that can be good. Any other questions, Vanessa? Let me see.
Yes, Ashley, she's asking for a migration agent recommendation.
Okay. So do you have a migration agent that you recommend? I would like to look into my skilled visa in time. Also, I heard if you own your business for 2 years, you can also get a PR. Is that true? It depends. I'm not a migration agent. It depends. It's not only because you have your business, but there are some options if you are a business owner, but it depends on how much money you're making. Sometimes the location is state. There's so many things. I've done my process with 7 migration. So I will send you here. Then you guys can talk to them. They were great with me. I love it. They helped me so much with all the steps, right? So that's the one I can recommend because that's the one that I've used for all my visas, right? So we applied for our citizenship a few months ago. We're just waiting to get the invitation. Hopefully we get that soon. But that's pretty good, right? I've got Paula's here. I would like to work in something related to my background, even if it's for free. Where should I start looking? I'm assistant analyst. Great. I had my degree assessed by the ACS, but Gold Coast is not a big market. Paula, what's your LinkedIn? Access, go to my LinkedIn, send me a message in there. I can maybe point you into some directions on that sense. Being someone in IT, a system analyst, of course, you can do internships. Some companies don't like to do that you're gonna work for free, because depending on what you do and how many hours you do, etc., some people can sue then for using people. So they need to write down contracts and everything. It has to be in place. I would be trying to find companies that have done internships, right? So if you go to Seek or if you go to LinkedIn, you can find, but just find me on LinkedIn, and then I can point out to some people that I know here on the Gold Coast that are working in IT. I have someone that it's in Brisbane. She's amazing. She works in IT. She's like fantastic. She is a mentor for so many other people, especially women. So they have, I think a Mindroom is to have that program, the woman in IT, which I love it. That was is just like so good, right? That you can help each other and grow. So Mindroom as well is a place to follow on that sense.
Yes, Paula, get in contact with us by Instagram or Facebook, WhatsApp, and then we can chat about it. We have some recommendations where you can find out internship programs, and we also have this MEI Connect platform. If you click in the link I just sent to you, you can register there, put your profile, add your skills, and when we have some contacts from industry, we can refer your profile for business analysis. If you have experience, will be much easier to help you. Okay.
Awesome, awesome. I just put in my LinkedIn as well. If you guys want to chat, connect, or any tips, I'm more than happy to help you guys. Alejandro, what can be a good practice to find business ideas, opportunities? What sources can I use to take the first step? YouTube. YouTube is the world. You have got everything there, right? So where I see people stopping is that they think, and don't take this wrong, right? Like I'm talking, from the bottom of my heart. People think they have the best idea ever, but if they don't act on that, that's worth it. It's worthless, right? It's not worth anything, right? So to find business ideas and opportunities, I will be looking around and thinking, what do I need? I'm going to give you an example, right? So my fiance and I, soon to be wife, we are together for so many years now, and she loves beagles. You know, the dog beagles? Puppies, beautiful, funny, cute little puppies. She loves beagles. She has a beagle back in Brazil, right? So what I did was every single birthday or anniversary, Christmas, whatever, I always trying to find a gift for her that has a beagle. Can be a pair of socks, can be a t-shirt, can be whatever it was. And I realized that how difficult it was to me to find beagle products. So what I did, I started a drop shipping website, like a store, just for beagles. So I found all the beagle products that I could, and I put together in a website, and I start selling. So I start joining Facebook groups. I start learning more about how to run ads, how to start a Shopify store. And in doing that, I was like, if everything goes wrong, I have a shop, I have a store, like an online store that can buy everything for my girlfriend back in the time, right? So in doing that, I start joining and searching for Facebook groups with 50, 60,000 people in there, just beagle fans. So I was talking to the admins from those groups. I was giving discounts. I was giving, some promotions or whatever it was to these people. So they are beagle lovers. They want to buy that. They were like not too expensive products. So people were going to the website, buying t-shirts, buying pens, buying notebooks, whatever you guys can imagine. And where this idea came from a problem that I had. I wanted to buy beagle products. Why did I start an education channel on YouTube and on Instagram? Because I didn't have anyone to teach me about finance when I got in Australia. And I look around, I was like, there is no one talking about that. So I was the first one to start doing that for Brazilians in Australia back in 2020. So just before COVID, because no one was doing that. And I was that guy that you go to a barbecue where I was always talking about finance and superannuation and investments and blah, blah, blah. And people were getting tired. So I was like, I'm not going to talk to the ones that don't want to listen to me. I want to talk to people that want to listen to me. So I went to the internet. And from that, today I have like courses, I have online business, I have consultations, I do speaking events all over Australia. As I say, I did the On The Go course. I went to Perth 2 months ago. I'm going to Adelaide just to do speaking events based on one idea that I had 5 years ago to help other immigrants in Australia how to organize their finances. So it doesn't have to be too difficult, but if you have any questions, if you have anything that you want to do, just go to YouTube. You can find everything you need. You can find in there, including other crazy people that want to do things like you're doing.
All right, 8:30.
Oof, we made it.
We made it in time. I just would like to thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your insights with us. It's so good to have you this night. And thank you everyone who joined. I just would like us to share how this idea came from, who are these event organizers. Mindroom Innovation is an institution, a vet provider based on the Gold Coast. So we are really focused on offer to the international community opportunities to get in contact with industry experts and be part of it, this real world, not only in the classroom, but be able to get in contact with person as Raul. And as I said to you in the start of this meeting, tomorrow we'll be launching our August events calendar. So there is lots of opportunities to join events, online events, in-person events. So enjoy it. This is a golden opportunity. I was international student as you, and back in my time, I didn't have these events happening here. And I think all of us, we know how important is network. Sometimes network makes all the difference in any area, in any country. So enjoy. And if you are interested in taking some of our courses, if you want to renew your visa, we offer courses in the high demand areas, not only Australia, but all around the globe. We offer diplomas in IT, web development, business analysis, and data management. We also offer a diploma in project management, leadership and management, and advanced diploma in graphic designer. That is 6 course. And yeah, Mindroom is not only a vet provider, but also that is a goal where we want to support you in your professional journey. And we are here to help everyone who wants to make the most of your journey in Australia. All right. So if you want to get in contact with us or with Raul, all information, the contacts and links are in this event page or in our website. Thank you so much. Thank you, Raul.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Have a
Appreciate
good
it.
night. Bye-bye.